Hello everyone, I'm Eddie Saunders of the New Jersey Connection. I did Love Don't Come Easy back in 1982. It was really unusual how we put it together, but for the most part it was just a great experience for me. It made me feel good to see that I made an impact in somewhat in the music industry here in the British, as well as Spain, Italy, even, just so many places. In Germany, I mean, I was just getting royalty checks from all places I can't even pronounce, even South Africa, France. It's just been a wonderful experience to know that, your music can be accepted, even if it's not accepted in your own area, even though it did pretty well there, even on BLS, KISS, 92 KTU. It was just that I did the record without, really knowing that the impact that it did take was really surprising even on an independent label. So that's something that I experienced. I can never ever forget that, and it was just an awesome experience for me. I grew up in North New Jersey. My mother and father, Naomi and Charles Saunders, were my parents. My mother was a piano player, and I played drums at the time. But my mother and father kept us in church constantly. Trust me, we stayed in church every other day. But it was a good thing because they kept us, doing things, kept us off the street. We had a house and we had a basketball court in the backyard, and we had a nice big backyard, and we had just a loving family. And my sisters and brothers, all of us was just, blessed to have parents that we had, And we went to a church by the name of Roundel Chapel, which was in Newark, and so my father was a deacon there, my mother played the piano there, and I played drums. My brother played a little bit, but he was an educator, so he played every once in a while. But we had musical backgrounds and singing because my whole family sang. I had two brothers. I have one now. One brother's deceased, and I still have one brother and two sisters because there was 5 of us all together. Oh, I was a crazy maniac for football and basketball. I wasn't really. I like baseball, but baseball was kind of boring. You know what I mean? And I love boxing. So boxing, basketball, and football was like the 3 things that I followed, throughout my life. I got into fights a lot because, where I grew up, you had to defend yourself. And if you didn't defend yourself, then people would pick on you all the time. So even if you lost, that person knew at the end of the day that you wasn't really what we call a punk or somebody that they can just push you around, you know what I mean? I was in a lot of other bands. I was in a band called the Afro Twisters, which was a lot of us that did, I played drums in that band. And we were young, but we used to always have afros, and that's why we were called the Afro Twisters, because we was, at that time, the dashikis and the afros and the big high heel shoes was the thing at the time, So yeah, that could have been in 1967, 68, 69. And I also got involved with the Glee Club at the Avon Avenue Street School, and I was playing bongos there. And I also sung in the Glee Club, but I sung, but I really wanted to play the bongos because it seemed like it was like the thing to do, Well, New Jersey Connection started where I did a record for a couple of friends of mine, and the ones that I did the record for, they actually got a deal with some people, and the people that they did get the deal with, actually, they kind of was afraid to take that opportunity to do the deal. The New Jersey Connection started where I had a couple of friends of mine who I actually did some music for, and there was a guy who was interested in actually recording them, and they I don't know what happened. They just kind of like didn't want to do it. And they waited about, I think it was like maybe a month or two before they actually said to me, guess what, somebody wanted to do this, work with us on this record. And so I said, well, what happened? They was like, well, we didn't want to do it. So I said, well, introduce me to the guy. I'll do it. And so what happened was, maybe about 3 weeks later, they introduced me to this guy by the name of Alto Lee. He was a wonderful man. He was like my second dad, so to speak, because he just looked out for you. And and what I liked about Alto Lee, he was just a guy who was just straightforward. He didn't pull no punches, but he was really a gentleman, a real gentleman. So I met him. So he said, okay, he's going to take me in the studio to do this record. And so we did the record. So he spent his money and picked us all up, brought us to the studio. And how the New Jersey connection got really started was I had some friends, Kevin Marshall, one of the greatest keyboard players, the great Greg Kilpatrick, bass, the Darryl Miller, just awesome. He plays guitar, incredible guitarist, you know. And I had a guy by the name of Guy Vaughn who played drums. And then there was a guy by the name of Dwight Blackman, played flute. And Sabrina Glover, who did background. I sung background. I'm not really sure, but I also think my wife sung background, Marquis-Brown Saunders. And so we did this. Also, we had there's one more person I'm supposed to remember who that person was. Oh, just me, yeah. So I remember that I did the vocals and I did percussion, but for the most part, it was like me asking these guys to come and do this record with me. And they knew each other or knew of each other, but they didn't really know them. And a lot of them knew each other from a distance. And so up close, when we all got together, I gave them the song that I was doing, and the rest was history. And so we weren't really a group or a band at all. But the record was the record was good, and so the guy wanted to ask me what's the name of the group. Oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute, I'm going so fast. Who did the lead singing? My first cousin, Kenny Bristol. However, Kenny came in because I had a guy by the name of Bill Lee. So Bill came in. Bill was one of my buddies, regardless of him not doing the record with me. But he came in, but I don't believe Bill was ready for the studio. And Bill said, man, I ain't ever did this before. So Bill got real drunk, really drunk. And he just had us laughing because he was singing, but it just didn't pan out for him. And the guy kind of got a little frustrated about that. And so I had to call my cousin Kenny to come and sing. And so Kenny came and sung and knocked it right out of the box. And that's where the song began, once Kenny, did the lead for us. And again, the rest was history. And then once the record went out, nobody really even believed the song was going to take off, believe it or not. And it actually took off. And then once it started playing on the radio station, BLS Kids, that's when the issues started coming, because most people, the guys that played with me, they wasn't really interested in being a part of the group, only because everybody had secure jobs, so they didn't want to risk, doing music, because as you know, music is a risk production. It just started a whole lot of chaos. So, I said, okay, you guys just not ready. So I went from that and started working with other artists in different groups. And that's what happened there. And I kind of left Love Don't Come Easy there, but I was getting the royalty checks, but not knowing the impact that it was taking over here in London and France, until I started getting my royalty checks. And after that, it was just amazing. I was looking like, wait a minute, this record is all over these places. And Alto Lee introduced me to a guy by the name of Joe Evans. And that's how it got on Carnival Records. So actually, Alto Lee spent the money on the records, and the other part was once the guys wasn't working out good, we started working with Joe Evans, and the Joe Evans was not a good guy. I'm sorry to say, God bless him, he's rest in peace, but he wasn't a good guy. He kind of like was just stealing from us. And I trusted the guy because he was an older man, and I didn't look at him no different than I looked at my dad, but he just did things, even till this day, he's doing some things, even though he passed away. I don't know how he what he set up, but he, you know, eventually I found my record is on maybe 13 or 14 different albums that he made deals with, and he really didn't spend any money. And when he did spend money, he spent money just for himself. So I don't know how these records got on these different labels, but they have, and I haven't seen a quarter of any of them, you know. And it was just chaos. So that record was awesome, but it was also chaos because I don't think anybody expected the impact that it had, you know. The New Jersey connection now is coming back. So we've been writing with a lot of other people, but we really need to concentrate on ourselves. So that's what we're gonna do. The New Jersey Connection got some new records. We got some real positive people. The lead singer for us now is Omar Marshall. I can't even tell you the impact he put in on the music and in our personal lives. He's a good guy, real good guy. We have the young lady Harmony. She's just incredible. She can sing. She's the youngest in the group, but she's hilarious because she don't want us to call her the youngest, even though she's the youngest. So, you know, and then the backbone to everything is my wife. She's just, I can't even tell you. She's crazy. She's incredible. These guys really want to do the music, you know, and they ready to do it, and they're ready to, you know, I mean, they sacrificed. They even sacrificed to come here with me, you know, because they didn't have to do it, but they did.